Right for you. With 2 grams of sugar per 5.3-ounce serving, Too Good Greek yogurt is too good to be true. So Delicious dairy-free yogurt and Silk yogurt alternatives are delicious plant-based swaps you can enjoy by the spoon or add to recipes. Oikos 000 yogurt and Light and Fit yogurt are tasty, non-fat yogurt options. So many flavors, varieties, and possibilities. Elevate any recipe and your everyday with yogurt. Shop at Target.
For the distractions.
The Armchair Quarterback Show, weekdays, coast to coast, Southern Sports Talk Radio. Your first choice for sports talk, live from the First Coast.
You'll do anything to stay healthy, so isn't it time to think about your water? Aquasana water filters remove contaminants other filters don't, like lead, bacteria, viruses, and pesticides. Up to 99% of 88 contaminants, while leaving vital minerals you need like potassium, calcium, and magnesium. Visit waterfilter.com now and use promo code RADIO to get 50% off. That's waterfilter.com, promo code RADIO for pure, delicious water and the ultimate peace of mind. Aquasana, better water, better you.
Armchair Quarterbacks Radio covers the whole SEC the whole season long.
Dobbs heaves it. They're bunched up in the end zone. It's tipped up. It's caught. It is caught. Jawan Jennings.
This was starting to think first quarter at the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville as Walker digs to the right, gets outside, the 35, look out, he's past midfield and he's got a blocker, cuts to the inside, Herschel Walker, there he goes again.
Straight up the middle, touchdown. Delayed reaction, but Tebow got in. Oh, jump pass, how about that? Oh my gosh, that looks like 1955. Holy cow, are you kidding me?
Armchair.
Take the road less traveled in the newly redesigned Hyundai Santa Fe. With available H-Track all-wheel drive to help you get off the beaten path a little further together. And intuitive safety features that can help you see what's waiting around the bend. Plus, with generous room for 5 and comfortable available Napa leather seating, you can go for more drives as a family without driving each other crazy. Find new adventures together in the Hyundai Santa Fe.
Welcome to the jungle. Jim Rome on the air, noon to 3 Eastern, only on CBS Sports Radio.
Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight for all your blessings.
NASCAR is back and the Armchair Quarterbacks have got you covered. We'll talk the races, the standings, the news of NASCAR, and we'll also go into fantasy NASCAR. NASCAR is back on the Armchair Quarterbacks, a Southern tradition, because if you ain't rubbing, you ain't racing.
As the drivers and usual tonight, Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot.
Follow CBS Sports Radio in the Twitterverse for breaking sports news. Go to twitter.com/CBS Sports Radio.
Lift up your shirt, son.
I need an adult. I need an adult.
You're not a shoplifter. You're just a fat kid. Hey, Tom, he's just a fat kid. Aren't you, Fatty? He's just a big old fat kid. Here's some chocolate, Fatso.
Thanks.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
Make sure to listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Good enough for us down here in the bayou. Go Tigers and the Armchair Quarterbacks.
It's morning.
Yes, and what a lovely morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We've talked the whole night through.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Men always say how women's soccer sucks. Then come to the field and try with us.
The Australian women's national team, who were ranked number 5 in the world at the time, lost 7-0 to a team of 15-year-old boys.
Awkward. Armchair.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good morning, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Colorado Rockies general manager Jeff Burdich steps down, and Greg Fiesel has been named club president. In an official statement released by the Colorado Rockies on Monday, it says, quote, "The Rockies announced today that the club and executive vice president and general manager Jeff Burdich have mutually agreed that Burdich will step down from his role effective immediately. Fiesel, the club's executive vice president and chief operating officer since 2010, and in his 26th season with the organization, has been named the president chief operating officer till the end of the season. He will now oversee baseball operations in addition to his current responsibilities. In his 7th season as GM, Burdich brings to a close 17 years with the Rockies organization. Burdich joined the Rockies baseball developmental department in 2004 and rose to senior director of baseball operations in 2006. The organization will be appointing an interim GM for the remainder of the season and will conduct a search for a permanent general manager once the 2021 postseason has completed. A 24-year Los Angeles Police Department veteran Deion Joseph requests a meeting with LeBron James via a letter. Deion Joseph, who has worked for the LAPD for over 24 years, published a letter to LeBron Sunday asking to one day meet the NBA star to explain policing and have an honest conversation about the times we're living in. Joseph, who has spent 2 decades working the LA Skid Row beat, once told the LA Times that, quote, "I came here to save lives, not to stand by and watch people die." Joseph was quoted as saying, "I don't care if I'm talking to the president. If someone out there is talking to me, I have to respond because they have been ignored by society for too long. That won't be me," unquote. The offer has been put on the table to meet with LeBron James with no camera and no fanfare. The Los Angeles Clippers are signing DeMarcus Cousins for the rest of the season. Cousins' second 10-day contract expired on Sunday. He signed his first 10-day contract with the team on April 5th. Cousins has averaged 9 points, 8 rebounds, 14 minutes in each of the team's past 3 Ws. The Clippers are near the top of the Western Conference, fighting for the #1 seed. Let's go to the scoreboard to look at today's games from the hardwood. At 7 p.m. Eastern on NBA TV, it's the Milwaukee Bucks at the Charlotte Hornets. And finishing off that doubleheader at 9:30 on TNT, the Mavs are at the Warriors. On the ice, at 7 o'clock Eastern, NBC Sports Network has the Islanders at the Caps. And at 8 o'clock on the Plus, it's the Lightning at the Blackhawks. Panthers and Predators play at 8, and on the national stage, ESPN Plus 8:30, it's the Canes at the Stars. In Major League Baseball, Mets and Red Sox get going at 7:10 Eastern. It's Richards versus David Peterson. The A's are in Tampa, Montas versus Michael Wacha. And at 7:20, the Braves host the Cubs again, Ian Anderson against Trevor Williams. Phillies are at the Cards, 7:45 Eastern, with Carlos Martinez on the mound. Savale and Maeda match up in Cleveland. The Marlins' Castano will take on the Brewers and Adrian Hauser at 7:40 Eastern. And at 10:10 tonight, the Cincinnati Reds are at the LA Dodgers, Hoffman versus Walker Buehler. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for more of the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show and YouTube Live. Please like, subscribe, and share our show today. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast. Good morning. It's time to wake up, y'all. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We're here weekdays on CBS Radio, YouTube Live, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. The Armchair Quarterback Show, your first choice for Southern Sports Talk. Good morning, Mr. Justin Waller.
Good morning. I don't know much, but I know one thing. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Ask the Phillies as they welcome Ajabal Herrera back to center field this week.
Hi, I'm Mac McGinn. I don't know much, but I know one thing. Smoke alarms ought to come with some kind of device that doesn't make it go beep at 3:45 in the damn morning. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks.
That's it.
You look like
Oh, I wonder why. Because I'm sick.
I didn't get you sick.
I was fine until I came over here, and now you got me sick. And you faked it, just like the Giants faked that injury in that Monday Night Football game.
Fine. I'm sick. You win.
No, you won because you got me sick because you're a filthy beast and you live in this disgusting hovel and your daughter is just a petri dish with pigtails. Oh, and your Neanderthal of a husband who doesn't wash his hands after he goes to Yobagoya. Oh, God. You people disgust me. You're all a bunch of filthy germies.
Oh, Ruxin. Looks like you may be getting sick.
Oh, you think so, Sherlock Holmes? Achoo!
It's actually kind of refreshing.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man.
Hey, howdy, hi. Top of the morning to you. Welcome to the Armchair Quarterback Radio Show. I'm Mac McGee sitting alongside Justin Waller and Mr. Stephen Troche. Stephen, how the hell are you, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm back in Florida. It is great to be back in the state, even though I'm not the biggest fan of it at this point. But, man, it is good to be home and ready to get things rolling again.
Why are you not the biggest fan of the state of Florida?
I've been here 30 years of my life. It's time for a change.
Bye.
It's too hot.
Bye. We got to make room for all the people that are coming into the state. Go bye. Take your ass to Blue Carolina. We're gaining a Senate seat because of a House of Representatives seat because we got so many damn people moving in. Conversely, Justin, you see New York and California are losing a seat because people are fleeing the state.
Absolutely. Did you see how close the New York one was? They only needed 89 more votes to retain it. What if Cuomo would have had a better nursing home policy?
Well, maybe they'll find some dead people to put in there. Nah, man, we still got some folks.
No, I'm chuckling this morning. They have those smoke alarms that don't go off at 3:45 in the morning. It's
I don't because
a value pack of 9-volt batteries.
No, but you don't know the damn thing's going off until it starts to go off. And so when the battery starts to die and it starts going beep, it doesn't just go off. It doesn't give you a warning shot. The damn thing started beeping at 3:45 in the morning.
Make you a monthly reminder in your calendar or an annual reminder and just change them out once a year and you never have that situation.
Nerd.
And then you have a drawer full of half-used 9-volt batteries that you'll never figure out what to do with.
Nerd.
I don't get woke up at 3:45.
Nerd. I bet you do, but it's probably for different reasons.
Yeah, it's the porcelain god saying woo.
Exactly. Anyways, got to thinking last night and this morning, and I got to throw this to y'all. I've got my own opinion, and I'm not talking about the history of it. Obviously, Dodgers Padres would pale in comparison, but I'm talking about right now, today, with the players that are playing on the field today, in today's game, and it doesn't matter what sport you pick. Are the Dodgers and Padres the most exciting rivalry in all of sports? Justin, I'll start with you.
As of right now, absolutely. Both sides have superstars. Both sides have arrogance, and neither side has a problem blasting the other. If you missed it over the weekend, the Tatis homer off Bauer where he closes his eyes, he's trotting off in reference to, Bauer pitching with one eye closed. Spring, you can't make this stuff up. You can't script this stuff. This is absolutely amazing to just sit back and be neutral and watch two teams go at it and just be able to enjoy the game. Now,
the only way that could have been better is because when he was holding his eye, he was looking back at his dugout, so he was kind of jogging sideways. Only way that could have been better is if he would have fell. Yeah, because every time I watch it, I'm pulling for him to fall. Because how funny would that have been? Because then I would have loved to have seen his reaction, like would he get up and go ta-da or whatever. Steven, what say you? Is it the best rivalry in all of sports right now today?
Yeah, no, I agree with both of y'all. I mean, Justin took most of what I said, but I mean, the biggest thing is like at all times when like rivalries are at their best, both teams are winning and both teams are good, and that's what we're getting now. We have the reigning World Series champion of the Dodgers. We have the young up and coming Padres. Look like they look like they're ready to compete. They have one of the most exciting players in the game. It is just fun baseball to watch right now. It's fun to watch those two teams play and go at it. Yeah, I mean, hands down, it's the best rivalry going on right now.
Steven, I don't mean to cut you off, but Joey's ready to switch with you right now. He says, come to Illinois, and he'll come to Florida.
Yeah, I'm not going that far north.
He said, you go on to Chicago and deal with Mayor Lightfoot, and he'll come on down here to Florida and be in the DeSantisville or whatever the hell they call it.
My family left Chicago for a reason.
They were in Chicago's. Yeah. Chicago's brutal. It only took me less than a year to go, I got to get the hell out of here. This place is terrible. Yeah. So the Padres Dodgers rivalry, look, I know if you ask the typical schlup, especially south of the Mason-Dixon line, they're immediately going to go, no, it's Auburn, Alabama. But Alabama dominates that rivalry. And to Justin's point, there's not as much fanfare and fun for us on the outside looking in because you don't see them battling on Twitter. And Tatis and Bauer have made this more entertaining than we probably deserve at this point. I mean, it's just unbelievably entertaining. I can't wait to see the way this goes. And please let them meet in the playoffs somehow. Okay. Whether it's the first round or whatever. I mean, it would just be incredible to see them go head to head. In a perfect world, I guess Arizona wins the division and they have to play in a 1-game play-in for all. Free fall, you get the two of them playing for it all in one 9-inning game would be incredible. But when I look at this rivalry and I see the players and the talent and the depth of both teams, I cannot wait for the next time they play. I kind of wish they would have spread it out a little bit because they played twice in a week or 2 series in a week, so 7 games a week. So we only get 12 more of these games going forward. But this is trumping Yankees Red Sox right now, because even though the Red Sox are doing well, you don't have the personalities with the Yankees and Red Sox that you do with Dodgers and Padres. The only thing that Yankees and Red Sox would have if that ends up meaning something later in the season is that you're going to have more eyeballs on it because it's on the East Coast. But other than that,
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm just curious from the West Coast perspective, if there are any baseball fans left in California, if they've all left yet. But if they are there, does this take the place for them over Giants Dodgers? Because, that's been that's a rough, that's a fan rivalry right there. And it gets a little carried away, or it has in the past. Is this taking the place of that? Is this getting in the mix? Or
I think what it would be like is this. In the 1990s, Florida State, Miami was the it rivalry, right? I think Steven can attest to that, right? Late 80s into late 90s, even early 2000s, it was the it rivalry. But Florida State, Florida was still the game you wanted to win the most because you hated them so damn much. But the game you got most excited for was Florida State, Miami, because all the eyes of the nation were watching that game. Now, Spurrier brought it a little bit, but it wasn't, I don't know, there was something about Florida State, Miami, and this has that same feel to it, as where it doesn't have the storied rivalry history, but you feel like you're missing out if you're not watching Padres versus Dodgers. I do, and I don't have a dog in the hunt. I just want to see the games. I'm pulling for San Diego just because it's an underdog story, but I don't really care if they win. If they lose, I'm going to sleep fine. It's just fun to have someone to pull for. And the games they've already had so far, and then you have the capper Sunday night for people that didn't stay up for that, where they went to extra innings after the Padres were down 7-1 in the 7th inning. If you are a World Series champion, you don't blow a 7-1 lead at any point in the 7th inning, any point in the season. Doesn't matter that it's in April. So that just adds to the spice of the rivalry, in my opinion.
I'm excited for it, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to leave you hanging there. Forgot these mute buttons don't work. I just hope it maintains, and I hope that down the stretch, I need to look out on the schedule. Like you alluded, we've got 12 more. I hope these are spread out periodically so we can get this.
Can they be just 12 one game?
I hope that they end
12 one game series all played on Sunday night. that's what
I'm for flex scheduling.
Yeah, that would be my vote, because you know how we get midway through the season, we get some humdingers in there where the ESPN's, for whatever right reasons or whatever, that they had to put X amount of teams in there, and you're getting something like, in the middle of July, you're getting something like Tigers versus the Pirates or something. You're like, oh, what the hell did I do to deserve this? I'm all for oversaturation of this rivalry. Let's go ahead and move on. Before we get to the DFS, Steven, the Miami Dolphins are essentially on the clock. They got the number 6 pick overall. It's almost looking like you can almost predict the first 5 picks at this point. There could be a couple of snags that happen here and there, but I was curious to see who if you as a Miami Dolphin fan, if you were running this organization, and not as a fantasy team, a real Miami Dolphin fan like you are, how would you want to build your team going forward, assuming I think you assume that Tua is your quarterback for the foreseeable future, as the Green Bay GM said that about Aaron Rodgers yesterday. Did y'all see that? What the hell does a foreseeable future mean? This guy just won the MVP. It's not foreseeable future. Okay. But where would you go for the first, what did we take it to? The first 5 picks of the draft, which takes you to the 4th round. They got 2 number 1s, 2 number 2s, and a 4. How would Steven Troche build his team?
So first pick, I'm looking, if he is there, I'm going Kyle Pitts. He just adds a different dimension to that offense. I mean, Jamar Chase is the best receiver in this draft, but with Gesicki already being on the team, adding Kyle Pitts would give them a 2 tight end look that would be unseen in the NFL, and it would
what would be your backup pick, because I think he's probably going to be gone at number 6.
That's the thing. Everything kind of hinges on that Atlanta pick.
Okay.
They're expected to go Pitts, but if Justin Fields falls, I almost can't see them passing him up, especially with him starting his career off at Georgia. Be a little bit of a homecoming.
They would draft Justin Fields?
I mean, they're not contenders. Matt Ryan's in the twilight of his career. If you've got a quarterback.
Oh, you're talking about Atlanta. Okay.
Yeah, Atlanta.
I thought they were talking about Miami drafting. Okay. But let's say,
say they go there.
Let's say Pitts is gone, which he most likely will be. Who would Miami draft at that point then?
I think Chase is going to be the pick there, and that's also assuming if Cincinnati doesn't take him. I mean, it's like those are my top two. My top 2 are Pitts and Chase. I've been hearing a lot of talk. If those 2 are not available, Dolphins could trade down, like to get a little lower in the first round. But I'd go Pitts and Chase in the there. I'd probably go defense with the second first round pick. There's a lot of good pass rushers, and that's a really big need for Miami right now. They've got the secondary. They've got a couple linebackers. They really need the strength on a defensive line. And then the 2 second rounders, it just depends how the board falls. Like if one of ETN or Javonte Williams are there, that's got to be the pick. Gaskin's a good running back, but he is not a 3-down back. You get a running back with the kind of ceiling of those 2.
Tailback early.
If one of those 2 are there in the second round, if not, I'm waiting.
What about? Okay, so you mentioned ETN, but what about the kid from Alabama? Was it I always get his name and the FSU defensive back's name.
Najee Harris. I don't think Harris is going to make it out of.
I always want to call him Nasruddin, and I'm like, that's not his damn name. Najee Harris. If Najee Harris is sitting there at 25, is that the pick?
No, because I believe the Jaguars picked there.
Okay, so where does Miami draft?
I think Miami picks 18.
Oh, 18. Sorry. I got Jaguars on the brain all week. Okay. 18. Do you not think that he's going to fall that far?
No, I think he'll definitely be there at 18. I just think that Miami's going to prioritize defense, defense over getting a first round running back. It's just first round running back is usually not the play, and they're like this is a pretty deep class. I think they'll prioritize pass rusher there.
Okay,
and then go running back, and then just kind of fill in.
So running back early second round, if there's one there that they like.
Yeah, if there's one there.
Okay.
If not, I'd use those middle picks just to fill out the offensive line. I think maybe they'll go safety or linebacker, but I think they spent last draft kind of filling the trenches. They're gonna try to get playmakers and kind of also defensive playmakers.
What if they go straight Bama this draft? They draft Devonta Smith, Justin, in the number 6 pick overall to make Tua happy, and then they go and get Harris, the number 18 pick.
I mean, there's been a lot of talk about that.
Those
two anchors at Alabama. I mean,
and then with that second round pick, I'm gonna wrap back around and grab Leatherwood or one of the other Alabama offensive lines. I mean, just draft the Crimson Tide. I would be that analyst in your room, Steven, that you would first be like, who in the heck let this guy in here? And 2, you tell his Nick Saban loving self to get out of my room, because I would definitely be trying to talk you into that. You could convince me Waddle too, maybe Waddle, because there's still debates, and you got
especially
the
if they trade back.
If Waddle doesn't get hurt, we don't know who Devonta Smith is. So I love the Smith and the Harris pick.
I definitely love it from an offensive perspective and a fantasy perspective. I just think from a team building perspective, they're going to want to address the line before getting a running back.
Would it piss you off if they drafted a bunch of Alabama guys?
No.
All right. I guess we see the world differently.
Only because if they panned out, it would be Nick Saban repaying his debts for destroying us all those years ago.
Well, maybe Nick Saban would finally come back. It's like, all right, now we got the team that I like. Now we got the guys that I like.
Well, he'll be in a wheelchair by then.
Yeah, well, won't we all? So finishing out the draft.
Sidelines are flat. That's fun.
Exactly.
Elevators up to the press box.
Exactly. They give him one of those phony titles that they've been giving coaches here recently. What they call they don't call them in charge of. They're overseeing quality control of, and then they'll name like offense or defense or whatever. So you're going there in the second round, the late second round pick. Where are you thinking?
I'm thinking they go you just trying to fill a need, either safety or interior offensive line.
And then with the 4th round pick, how would you finish that out?
I think that's where we could see a running back. Like that kind of feels like the sweet spot where everyone's going with the early backs, and there's going to be a kind of a lull. I think if they don't get one early, that's where we're going to see it.
James Blackman's probably available to be drafted. Just putting that out there. Yeah.
I'm sure he's available too. I'm not sure anybody would want to.
I think he transferred somewhere. I think I remember that towards the end of the year. He transferred somewhere. I was like,
him and Garantano probably on the same roster. Look up.
Like, okay, somebody wants you. Fair enough. Because he was like threatening to play like an 8th year because of COVID rules and stuff. Like, get out. You got to go, buddy. Nice guy, but you got to leave. DFS advice today. Where are you streaming?
First pitch, for DFS pitcher, top of the board, I'm going to go in Giolito there. He's at home against Detroit. He had a really rough time against the Red Sox, but I from what I've been seeing, he was sick. Got it had a really early start comparatively. I love the strikeout upside there. The main stack I'm going after is Houston against Marco Gonzalez. Houston is not the best hitting park, but their lineup is built to destroy left-handed pitching. They get Altuve back in the lineup, and Altuve, Brantley, and Bregman all have very good BBB against Marco Gonzalez. I love them tonight.
One of the guys that I like is Montas going up against Tampa Bay's offense. I think he's only 7,300. That's one of the players that I really like today. As far as value goes, and then as far as trying to stack teams, stack players like people like to do, if I was going to try to go after somebody, I think I would heavily look at the fact that Dylan Peterson is going to be pitching against the Boston Red Sox, and I would try to get as many Red Sox in my lineup as possible. I know it's in Met Stadium, so you are going to lose the DH, but Peterson can be gotten, and I just don't think that he's going to do well against all those right-handed bats that the Red Sox have. We're coming to the end of it, I know you've always got a meeting to be in. What is your walk-off for the day, Steven?
Walk-off is just play all your Astros today. I also love I love the Yankees in Baltimore. Gleyber Torres basically lives in Camden Yards.
Man, it's
like if you can fit
start
him in.
panicking there, isn't it? In Yankee land.
Oh no, I'm definitely starting to panic, but this is the place where, like, if they can get right, this is going to be the spot in Baltimore.
Matt Harvey shuts you down, I'm a little concerned.
Yeah.
I might have lost $1 or $2 on that one, man. I was like, come on, baby. Are you serious? Yankees against Matt Harvey, they're going to rake. They're going to wake up. Nah, they hit the snooze button. They're starting to freak out in New York City. I can tell you that right now. They're talking nonsense this morning about making a trade for Matt Harvey at the trading deadline. What? You're going to give a prospect for Matt Harvey? Oh, my God. What year is this? All right, brother. Well, great job, and we will see you next week. And enjoy the draft. Hopefully, they get. You said you're back in Jayville.
I am.
I think we're going up to a little joint to watch the draft. If you're bored on Thursday night, I'll shoot you some details.
That sounds good.
All right, brother. We'll be back in a flash show on the Armchair Quarterbacks. When we come back, Justin's going to try not to have a stroke, but he's got some harsh words for someone on the national media scale. We'll be back.
We can't urban darn your frazzle dazzle.
All right, ladies. There's only one spot left in my fantasy football league and 2 of you.
Why don't we flip a coin?
I prefer a more old-fashioned approach. 2 of you walked into this room, but only one's walking out. No, I was kidding. No, I was kidding. Tom, you're in the league. Bill, you're insane.
Armchair.
Beware, my friend, and let me warn you. Bumps to California. Let's keep the Dodgers in Brooklyn. Our house is not a home without some love. Don't let them leave our premises. LA will be their nemesis. But Brooklyn fits the Dodgers like a glove.
This is Jim Rome. Join me in the jungle for your phone calls and the biggest names in sports. Stop by weekdays, noon until 3 Eastern, 9 to noon Pacific.
Slider. He's going to have to hurry. He got him. What a play by Walt Weiss. Weiss has saved the game, at least for the moment. That's why Weiss was in there.
Ball game's over right now without Walt Weiss in there defensively.
Every morning this spring and summer, the Armchair Quarterbacks will be headed to Braves country. Along with the big headlines of the day, the Armchair Quarterbacks will be leading off with the Atlanta Braves, National League East, and everything in between. That's Braves country, right after batting practice, weekdays on the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Next up will be Ronald Acuna.
The 3-1. Acuna swings. It's a high drive to left center field. Taylor at the wall. It is gone. A grand slam for Acuna.
You're riding Morning Shotgun with the Armchair Quarterbacks. We're here weekdays. Your first choice for sports talk here on the First Coast.
Hey, Jacksonville, winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com/radio to save 50% on your first service. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com/radio today and get a lawn to be proud of.
It all starts with just one thing. When recycling, rinse out jars and cans, and avoid recycling wax paper or paper soiled with food. This will reduce recycling contamination. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
Siegfried and Roy, the tiger bit the man in the head, and everybody's mad at the tiger. Talk about the tiger went crazy. That tiger ain't go crazy. That tiger went tiger.
Good morning. Welcome back here to CBS Sports Radio, Armchair Quarterbacks. Justin, I can't find what you're talking about. What page is it on the
Oh, it's on the front of the app, right under the article I sent you of the undefeated.
I would need to know where it is on the website because
I'm using the app. I apologize.
Yeah,
but I can.
We don't use my phone to broadcast. So when I go to share stuff, I have to go in the actual. I thought it would be on the first page, but I don't see it anywhere. The way they have it laid out, or maybe it's to the reason why I don't know. I don't know if it's my preferences or something, but I can't find it. But
yeah, I mean, essentially, ESPN and Stephen A. We're in draft week, and they've pushed their narrative that they want to influence the number 3 overall pick. And Stephen A. is just a little bit upset that it's not Justin Fields. And
haven't we heard this before? Didn't we heard this crap a few years ago with Dwayne Haskins?
And everybody got mad because was it Josh Allen that got drafted and he proved that wrong? And then Daniel Jones got drafted. Was that the same draft or 1 year apart?
I think Josh Allen was before him. But the big question, regardless when Josh Allen was drafted, the big question was, should it be Daniel Jones or should it have been Haskins? Because everybody had Haskins on the board, and there was definitely race involved. And I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. ESPN's racist. They just are. And they push a narrative, and it's ridiculous and it's disgusting. And they did it yesterday. I was watching, so I get done with the show, and I usually have some stuff I have to wrap up before I have to get ready for my actual job that I do all day. And I'll turn on the TV, and normally I flip over to the business channel because I just don't watch a whole lot of ESPN anymore. And it caught my eye because I knew what they were talking about. I knew where they were going with this. What is his name? Hasselbeck was being asked about who the third quarterback should be. Okay. And he is a big proponent of Justin Fields. He has him as his number 2 guy overall. And he was just laying out why he had it. But he also said a lot of football guys have Zach Wilson as the number 2, and a lot of football guys have Mac Jones as the number 3. And he laid out very good arguments on both sides. Then it went to Stephen A., and then it went to the worst of them all, Max Kellerman. And Kellerman leaned into, and my antennas go up when I see an African-American quarterback, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, you are exactly who Malcolm X is talking about. When they talk about, when he talked about you cannot trust a white liberal, the poster child is Max Kellerman. And he went on this whole rant about how he was acting like it was 1960, that they weren't drafting Fields because he was a black quarterback. I was like, that makes absolutely no sense. These guys are trying to make the best decision as possible. It's got nothing to do with the color of their skin. It's got to do with whether or not, and the thing is, people are wrong all the time about these draft picks. And Justin Fields may very well end up being the best quarterback of the entire draft. But if your analysis in your department, your scouting department, is telling you what the argument was, Justin, that they were talking about yesterday, I think I got sidetracked, was whether or not San Francisco should draft Mac Jones or if they should draft Justin Fields. And I've been hearing Mac Jones. I was a little surprised because Fields had such a great postseason that I thought his hype was going to carry him. I thought it might even carry him to the number 1 pick overall. And I guess somewhere along the line, Urban Meyer has been quoted as saying Fields is the second best quarterback. Now, is that gamemanship out of Myers? Does he really think someone else is? And he's just trying to get someone to draft. I don't know what he gains by the Jets sucking, but if he's
trying to get him off his true pick of Zach Wilson, and he's going to shock the world on Thursday night. I'm kidding.
Well,
That's
but it
happening.
doesn't matter because if he whoever the hell he wants to draft, he can draft.
Right.
He can tell us right now who he wants to draft. There's not a thing anyone can do about it unless they do something stupid like trade out of the first pick, which would have a collective groan in North Florida. But for Stephen A. Smith to say, and normally I like Stephen A. Normally he's on target with a lot of things, and a lot of times he ends up retracting. So he may retract what he says. What I saw him say was a little more level-headed, but I haven't seen what you've seen him say.
Well, it's just livid that he's just livid that he's fallen and not being considered a third. And I just find this odd that you watch, and I forwarded it to you, by the way. You'll have to share it at the show. I apologize. I sent it from my phone, but we've watched for months, and we've seen analysts come on, and we're really selling this Mac Jones idea, and the fact that Shanahan has not done well in the past with mobile quarterbacks. You look at the Griffin experiment, you look at the Manziel experiment, and I mean, you've had different projects where the mobile athlete hasn't always been the best quarterback in his system. So Jones fits into that, having the pocket passer, having a system guy he can come in and use. He doesn't need the elite athlete that maybe at one time he thought he wanted to draft into his systems. I'm not sure, but we've seen that change his MO. So I don't understand why all of a sudden come Monday, week of the draft, now we just completely flip the script and we're just dropping articles and rants about how we're just bypassing and overlooking back quarterbacks and Fields. I mean, that's the article that they put out and they released on their front page of their app yesterday. So it's a wild narrative that you just completely flip after selling and bringing your experts in for weeks talking about. But when it comes down, it almost feels as if you're trying to pressure the 49ers into taking Fields in the third spot. And I just find that laughable.
Yeah, I don't even understand why they have to go that route. Why can't you just say, I think Fields is the better quarterback,
right?
And you're going to be wrong when you take Mac Jones. But they have to go the route. I would say the reason why Mac Jones is probably being picked by a lot of coaches overall is when you pick a guy number 3 overall, you don't want him to be a bust, first and foremost. And they're looking at the body of work of Mac Jones, and Justin Fields has been very up and down his entire career. He was phenomenal against Ohio State. He wasn't terrible against Alabama, but he didn't light the world on fire. But everyone fell in love with what he did against against Clemson. What about the dud that he laid against Northwestern in the Big Ten championship, where they almost lost the damn game? So, Justin Fields, to me, has always been an athlete first and a quarterback second, and Shanahan wants a quarterback first. There are people that have Trey Lance ranked as their third quarterback.
And that might very well be the case from an NFL scout. I just don't have enough tape to put him on. I haven't seen enough of his games. I don't know. Now, granted, I don't have the same access. Or I might be beating that drum right here with you. He might be the guy.
Hopefully this will work. Well, I didn't think about the, here we go.
End. Just want somebody to explain to me, how does the season end and Justin Fields is universally recognized as the number 2 quarterback in the draft outside of, after Trevor Lawrence? And somehow, some way, without a game being played, without an interception being thrown, without a turnover being committed, without an incompletion pass being thrown, this brother drops to arguably the 5th best quarterback in college football. How the hell does that happen? I mean, I understand that we weren't watching too much of Zach Wilson at BYU, and we didn't see, Trey Lance at North Dakota State, and we did, I saw Mac Jones, and obviously he played lights out in the national championship game. Well, listen, I'm not taking anything away from him because Mac Jones did a really damn good job. But in the same breath, I mean, if I got a guy like Devonta Smith that's catching for 215 yards in the national championship game and 3 touchdowns and running roughshod over my defense, and there's no answer for him whatsoever, that's gonna probably make me look good. I'm gonna think about him in the national semifinal, meaning Justin Fields in the national semifinal game against Clemson, and this brother throws for 385 yards, 6 touchdowns, and just 1 interception, and completes 78% of his passes. I'm gonna pay attention to that. I'm gonna pay attention to the level of competition that he goes against at The Ohio State compared to what Trey Lance is going against at North Dakota State.
Give me a pause real quick, because here's the point. You want to talk about the Devonta Smith and how that sets up Mac Jones, but let's talk about the Trey Sermon that took off and ran right down Northwestern's throat and took over a game and put you in it, or your quarterback isn't even having the chance to play against Clemson. Let's talk about that one.
Yeah, that was there's like another minute of it if anyone really wants to listen to that, but it seemed like he's going in circles. And I do have an issue with the fact that the race constantly being thrown in there. And why? And I've noticed this about, as much as I do like a lot of things Stephen A. Smith has said in the past, although it's not enough to watch his show because Max Kellerman is unlistenable. Why does he all have you I'm sure I'm not the only one who notices, but why does he always use the term the brother?
I have no idea.
I mean, why does it always got to be about race?
And it's just convenient timing. I just find this odd, and it really is as if they are trying to pick for the 49ers.
I think he needs to be put out to pasture. I think he's old racist guy, and he needs to be put out to pasture.
Fields will go number 3, and he'll get an ESPY. You watch.
Him and Kellerman are 2 of the most racist people that sit on television and talk back and forth because they feed into the race narrative. And maybe I'm wrong and maybe I'm in the minority, but I'm absolutely nauseated by that kind of junk. And when I start listening to it, I change the channel because I'm like, I don't want to hear about this junk. I don't want to hear about your racist take on a player with no matter what his race is. And I don't want to have to hear how if a player's doing well, like a Fernando Tatis, the first thing that they bring up is that he is Spanish, right? And that I don't even know his ancestry background, Tatis, but whether he's I'm assuming he's somewhere from like around the Dominican, but I don't even know that to be true. But anyways, they always want to play that role and about how this and how that. I'm like, why can't we just talk about how the fact they're great athletes and great players and good human beings? I care more about the fact that LeBron James is a terrible human being than what race he is. So the whole thing with him just drives me nuts. And this is just, I mean, it's
really weird. We have so many minority quarterbacks in the league right now, more than we've ever had. I mean, in the longest time. And I don't get why you want to push it or why it has to go down that road.
It's not like he's not going to get drafted. I would totally understand the rant if this was 1982 and someone's talking about drafting Justin Fields and making him a tight end. I would get that rant. Okay. But you're talking about the difference between Justin Fields going 3rd overall and probably going somewhere later in the top 10. I doubt he makes it out of the top 10. I seriously doubt that because there's a good chance Trey Lance doesn't make it out of the top 10, although he might, but Trey Lance may not make it out of the top 10. And so it's become a quarterback league. You want the quarterback that you think can move your offense. And you look at what Shanahan has done over his career, who he has gone after, he does not care about a mobile quarterback. Matty Ice is where he made his name, right? Then he trades for Garoppolo. Neither one of those guys are winning any kind of a 40 relay. And so he's going after Mac Jones, not because he's immobile. It's because he doesn't care about the mobility.
He just needs an accurate passer
And Mac
to
Jones
run
is
his system.
And Mac Jones is not as immobile as people think he is. Because I remember watching him at Alabama, him scooting for a couple of first downs and being surprised, going, well, damn, he's actually got some decent wheels. You're not going to run the wishbone with him, but yeah, he's got some decent wheels, him and Trask.
And I will say, you know, in the knock on Zach Wilson that nobody was watching BYU games, I challenge that because I remember BYU having one of the most memorable games of the year against Coastal Carolina. I watched a lot of BYU games because they traveled anywhere and everywhere to play last year just to complete a season in.
Let me ask you something. Why doesn't he ask the other obvious question? A guy who was second in the Heisman voting or third in the Heisman voting, who broke all kinds of records at the University of Florida, who was an incredible quarterback and damn near brought him to a miracle come from behind victory against the eventual national champion Alabama Crimson Tide in the SEC championship game. Why is Kyle Trask not even being projected in the first round? Should someone get up there and beat that race drum? No, you just go, oh, well, I guess he's not. When they went and saw him, I know they didn't have combines, but they had the pro days. When they went and saw him throw and saw him run and saw him do everything that they asked him to do, and they break it down on film, they don't think he's as good as Justin Fields or Trey Lance. If you ask me, I would rather have Kyle Trask over Trey Lance because Trey Lance has played one damn season in college football in one game. One season in one game. Kyle Trask, on the other hand, played in the Southeastern Conference and did pretty damn good job of it. There were weekends, Justin, would you not agree? There were weekends he looked like the best quarterback in college football.
I would say so. And I mean, he also had Pitts and Tony running out there running around. So, I mean,
remember, I was talking crazy back when it looked like the Jets were going to get the first pick, that the Jags ought to just not even pick a quarterback in the first round and draft Trask in the second round and fill other needs. They end up with the first overall pick, and you got to pick Lawrence because he is, but it's to your point that I don't know if you said it on there, if you texted to me, but you basically said to me, they're trying to cancel culture Trevor Lawrence to force the Jaguars to draft Fields first overall. And that's going to cause an issue because Jacksonville's never had the number one pick. They finally have a chance to change their franchise. And if they get guilted into drafting someone that they don't want to draft, no matter who it is, the fans are going to go ballistic.
Well, I mean, you've already going to lose half of your Florida fan base that are Jaguars fans because, I mean, he's a former Bulldog. I see that sitting real well with the Gator fans.
I remember when Blake Bortles was drafted, there was a similar narrative being put out there. I don't remember if it was ESPN or not, but the Jacksonville should have drafted Teddy Bridgewater, and the race thing was thrown in there. Well, guess what? They both suck. So it didn't matter who you drafted. They both sucked. Sometimes they both suck, no matter who you draft. Let the teams draft who they draft and then beat them up down the road and say they should have drafted this guy, they should have drafted that guy, but it doesn't have to be about race. I mean, it's 2021 for Christ's sake. I mean, it's just, to me, it is absolutely asinine that this continues to be a narrative.
Well, I mean, yeah, let every team draft their own and quit trying to push it there because remember, there's Colts, Titans, and Texans that are all hoping that you guys flop with the number one pick. Speaking of the Jaguars, I mean, I hope it doesn't pan out. Anybody that's a fan of those three fan bases would be ridiculous if they want to see a franchise quarterback come in and dominate for the next 18 to 20 years. Ridiculous. I mean, I'm throwing Tom Brady lifespan numbers out there, but I mean, there ain't anything that makes me think Sunshine won't duplicate that. He's probably a cyborg as well.
Right. The only one I'm drafting over Trevor Lawrence, if I'm the Jaguars, is if I find out that Brady has an illegitimate child out there in the draft, then I'm like, okay, I'm drafting that dude. Okay. But other than that, I mean, it's asinine at this point. Why in the hell we end up with these narratives? And it's not like there's not enough to talk about in the upcoming draft for them to lean into this. But you're going to get some people sitting around there eating up that garbage and bitching and moaning about it. And you won't have your answer on who the better quarterback is for 2 years.
Oh, absolutely.
And at that
it'll take plenty of time.
And they never walked back the fact how incredibly wrong and racist their take was that Daniel Jones should not have been drafted as high as he was drafted. I did hear one of them, I don't remember if it was Smith or Kellerman during that rant. I did hear one of them say, it was real quick. They skipped past, they said, and it looks like Daniel Jones is going to be the better quarterback. And then they skipped past it. Right. But the number one take during that draft, and we covered that draft.
But here's the thing that nobody took into account of Gettleman's decision in that process was he has an Eli Manning on his team. Eli Manning played for Cutcliffe. Cutcliffe was the head coach of Duke, and you have the Duke Jones. He's gone through the Manning academies. You had a young guy that you could come and transition and not rock your boat. That is the owner and general manager's team to draft their own players that they see fit for their locker room.
When you do your homework and it comes up, whatever the reason is, I want this guy over that guy, that should be it.
Yeah.
And that if someone else is smarter than you and picks the better player, fair enough. And you look, your career's on the line when you draft these guys. But it should never go into the race situation. If you want to go back into 1983 and say there was an issue then, okay, I get it. But in 2021, with all the StatCast and whatnot, and all the metrics and all the analytics, they're trying to pick the best player available. They're not trying to hang their hat on, well, let me draft this guy because I want to make sure that, that he can get into the Klan rally with me later. I mean, what the hell are they talking about? It's just so asinine. Let's go ahead and change subjects. I was worried about you having a stroke. I'm about to freaking.
Yeah, I'm trying to ag you along through this.
I'm about to black out and pass out.
Get you off. You want to talk some baseball?
Yeah, exactly. What's happening in the world of sports? Real quick, do want to hit the scoreboard. Braves win 8-7 over the Cubs last night. Hell of a game. Charlie Morton gets the W. The Royals, 14-7 now on the year. 3-2 winners over the Tigers, and the Indians beat the Twins. While the Yankees, we just talked about a second ago, man, they got beat by Matt Harvey 4-2. Got 4 hits all night long on Matt Harvey and company. Rays dropped to the A's 2-1. The Marlins blanked the Brewers. Rogers picked a hell of a game. He took out Corbin Burns. And the Phillies win 2-1 over the Cardinals. Hell of a game. Wheeler versus Wainwright. Really well pitched tonight. And then last night, the Angels, not only did they get Mike Trout back, and not only did they get Rendon back, which is huge. Shohei Ohtani pitched, won the game, and was batting second. And he hit the mound yesterday doing something for the first time that had not been done since Babe Ruth in 1921. Pitching while leading the league in home runs, and that's what Ohtani did yesterday. I butchered that, but anyways, you catch my drift. He took the mound yesterday. He was leading the league in home runs, and he batted. That hadn't happened in 100 years. And the Astros over the Mariners 5-2. Reds upset the Dodgers. And in the National Hockey League, we got the Preds 4-1 winners over the Panthers, Stars over the Hurricanes, and Blues over the Avs. And in the NBA, Lakers over the Magic, Bulls win over the Heat, and the Pistons upset the Hawks 100-86. And that's about it on what's happening in the world of sports. Yeah, I thought I had something else jotted down, but that's about it. So that's what's happening in the world of sports. And Justin, have you had a chance to look over this week 1 college football slate that is just absolutely insane? Normally we get like 1, maybe 2 games that are worth a damn, right? And this year, and I'm just starting off in the ACC because I was watching one of their shows yesterday, and I was like, why in the hell are they talking about college football in April? And then they got to the point of the schedule in that week 1. And I'd kind of forgotten that Georgia and Clemson are squaring off. Okay. So that's obvious. You give me that, and that's a big deal. Florida State, Notre Dame are playing. That's a big deal. North Carolina and Virginia Tech are going to play that Friday night, which is a huge deal. It's all going to begin, by the way, in the ACC. They're going to have an NC State South Florida game, which could be interesting Thursday night. You get North Carolina, Virginia Tech on Friday night. Saturday's Alabama, Miami, Georgia, Clemson, and then Florida State, Notre Dame is Sunday night with Ole Miss, Louisville on Monday night.
You realize it's the first time they've played each other?
Who?
This is the first meeting between Louisville and Ole Miss, is what I'm being told by Athlon.
Okay.
On the football field. I know it's happened in other sports. This is the first meeting on the gridiron.
The Athlon books are out?
Well, I mean, this is through their website. I don't have a book yet. No, but yes, they're putting out articles. They've got a 10-pack of the best games.
Just canceled. I got to go to the store.
But it's coming close. I can't wait for them to release. Although last year, I mean, and it's crazy, dumbfound me every year. You get the books quicker than we do, and they're produced here in Nashville. So I still haven't figured that out. You know, I'm in logistics. If y'all need a little help with your distribution process, holler at me.
You know, the place I normally find it at the Publix, they don't. The one close by us, they don't have a really big selection of magazines. Anyways, it's like you wouldn't go there to look for magazines. They just happen to have magazines as you're going towards the dog food kind of thing, right? And there's like a very, very small portion. And it always trips me out that they're like one of the first ones to get it. Maybe the general manager is just a huge college football fan. That's the only thing I can think of. But yeah, that's a huge first weekend.
And that's the double up down in Atlanta, because Saturday night's it's like what we went to a few years back, where Alabama's the nightcap Saturday night against Miami, and then this is the Monday night game to finish off what is that, Labor Day weekend.
I'll tell you another decent one of interest. It's interesting. I don't know if it'll be a good game or not, but LSU is going to be at UCLA that first weekend.
That'll be good. And speaking of Louisiana, you got the Raging Cajuns at Texas. I mean, that makes the list as well. Raging Cajuns. I'm curious to see Sarkisian in his first year down there at Texas, but better have his A game, because Raging Cajun showed you they don't get intimidated very well. They don't care if you have a little number beside your name or not.
I don't see. Whoa. You don't see this in the Big Ten very often. Thursday night, Big Ten, Ohio State at Minnesota to kick it all off. And evidently Nebraska and Illinois are going to play the Saturday before. I like that. I liked when they did that a couple of years ago with Florida and Miami.
And I think an even bigger one than that is that Saturday you've got Indiana at Iowa. And what we saw last season with Indiana and their revamped defense, I'm jacked up over that game. Indiana football has never really gotten me excited, but this year I'm excited to watch. They made a believer out of me last year.
What's your walk-off for the day, sir?
Now that Tennessee's stolen your national championship coach, I hope UCF is prepared for Boise State that opening weekend. So a little sorry, dude, and get your gear together.
Braves,
which I guess that's Malzahn now. Did I miss that fly on the radar? Is Malzahn UCF head coach now?
Yeah, he is. He's getting some players down there too.
Coming out smelling like a rose. I mean, I think they came out better. Did they not?
I don't know. Like I'm a little surprised Tennessee didn't go after Malzahn. Unless there was something weird in the contract that he couldn't sign in the SEC.
That had to do with that Kevin Steele being in here as the interim coach, and you just had the coup down there in Auburn where Steele was like, I mean, you got to keep in mind, Steele had 2 interim head coaching jobs in like less than 2 weeks. I mean, he was at Alabama or Auburn when they ran him off. But the whole thing seems to be like he undermined that process. He comes up to Tennessee. So how can you pursue Malzahn when you put the guy that tried to overthrow him in Auburn down there? So, I mean, Tennessee just blew both feet off when they I mean, it's a coaching search. We suck at them.
All I know is Central Florida is about to win 6 consecutive national championships. That's all I know. All right, brother. Well, we'll see you tomorrow, and I think you're going to like this intro.
Y'all gonna kill me like Mekhi Bryant?
Are you gonna stab somebody like her?
Got him! Got him!
Armchair.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good morning, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Colorado Rockies general manager Jeff Burdich steps down, and Greg Fiesel has been named club president. In an official statement released by the Colorado Rockies on Monday, it says, quote, "The Rockies announced today that the club and executive vice president and general manager Jeff Burdich have mutually agreed that Burdich will step down from his role effective immediately. Fiesel, the club's executive vice president and chief operating officer since 2010, and in his 26th season with the organization, has been named the president chief operating officer till the end of the season. He will now oversee baseball operations in addition to his current responsibilities. In his 7th season as GM, Burdich brings to a close 17 years with the Rockies organization. Burdich joined the Rockies baseball developmental department in 2004 and rose to senior director of baseball operations in 2006. The organization will be appointing an interim GM for the remainder of the season and will conduct a search for a permanent general manager once the 2021 postseason has completed. A 24-year Los Angeles Police Department veteran, Deion Joseph, requests a meeting with LeBron James via a letter. Deion Joseph, who has worked for the LAPD for over 24 years, published a letter to LeBron Sunday asking to one day meet the NBA star to explain policing and have an honest conversation about the times we're living in. Joseph, who has spent 2 decades working the LA Skid Row beat, once told the LA Times that, quote, "I came here to save lives, not to stand by and watch people die." Joseph was quoted as saying, "I don't care if I'm talking to the president. If someone out there is talking to me, I have to respond because they have been ignored by society for too long. That won't be me," unquote. The offer has been put on the table to meet with LeBron James with no camera and no fanfare. The Los Angeles Clippers are signing DeMarcus Cousins for the rest of the season. Cousins' second 10-day contract expired on Sunday. He signed his first 10-day contract with the team on April 5th. Cousins has averaged 9 points, 8 rebounds, 14 minutes in each of the team's past 3 Ws. The Clippers are near the top of the Western Conference, fighting for the #1 seed. Let's go to the scoreboard to look at today's games from the hardwood. At 7 p.m. Eastern on NBA TV, it's the Milwaukee Bucks at the Charlotte Hornets. And finishing off that doubleheader at 9:30 on TNT, the Mavs are at the Warriors. On the ice, at 7 o'clock Eastern, NBC Sports Network has the Islanders at the Caps. And at 8 o'clock on the Plus, it's the Lightning at the Blackhawks. Panthers and Predators play at 8. And on the national stage, ESPN Plus 8:30, it's the Canes at the Stars. In Major League Baseball, Mets and Red Sox get going at 7:10 Eastern. It's Richards versus David Peterson. The A's are in Tampa, Montas versus Michael Wacha. And at 7:20, the Braves host the Cubs again, Ian Anderson against Trevor Williams. Phillies are at the Cards, 7:45 Eastern, with Carlos Martinez on the mound. Savale and Maeda match up in Cleveland. The Marlins, Castano, will take on the Brewers and Adrian Hauser at 7:40 Eastern. And at 10:10 tonight, the Cincinnati Reds are at the LA Dodgers, Hoffman versus Walker Buehler. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for more of the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show and YouTube Live. Please like, subscribe, and share our show today. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports talk, live from the First Coast.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Is that Shakespeare?
Nope, it's Geico.
Yeah. That's Shakespeare from one of his unpublished works. Oh, it be not for awakening. Nay, giveth thou the berries. For 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
No, it's from Geico because they help save people money.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but Geico got it from Shakespeare.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
I'm Amy Lawrence, and I'm up late, always, after hours, hanging out with you on CBS Sports Radio. Check it out, 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific.
This year, choose a yogurt that's right for you. With 2 grams of sugar per 5.3-ounce serving. Too Good Greek yogurt is too good to be true. So Delicious dairy-free yogurt and Silk yogurt alternatives are delicious plant-based swaps you can enjoy by the spoon or add to recipes. Oikos 000 yogurt and Light and Fit yogurt are tasty, non-fat yogurt options. So many flavors, varieties, and possibilities. Elevate any recipe and your everyday with yogurt. Shop at Target.
Now, Ron, where are you? Where is Ron right now? No Ron, huh? Well, you better be sick, dead, or mute, Ron. Yeah. Why didn't you answer me the first time I said it, huh? Huh? I'm just asking, I said it like 4 times, so why didn't you say it the first time I said Ron?
Because it's pronounced Aaron?
Son of a...
Good morning. Welcome back here to CBS Sports Radio, Armchair Quarterbacks, and YouTube Live. Make sure to find our show today, YouTube Live. Welcoming onto the show for the first time, Bobby. I was never given your last name. Bobby, how the hell are you?
Schneider.
Bobby Schneider.
I'm doing good. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you, sir? Everything going well? You're in Middle Tennessee right now, correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct. Going well.
So you are an Arizona Cardinal football fan.
That would be correct.
And you live in Tennessee. Have you always lived in Tennessee?
Well, when I was 3, my family, we got a job opportunity up in Tennessee to run a business. We moved up here, and I've been living here since then.
Okay, you said move up to, where were you originally born?
Oh, I was born in Tampa, Florida.
Okay, another Florida
yes, sir.
man. So how the hell did you end up an Arizona Cardinal fan?
Well, I tell you, it's kind of an interesting story, actually. So I was playing Madden when I was younger, and this is kind of when I was introduced to football in a sense. And this was coming off the Cardinals-Steelers Super Bowl, which we lost, unfortunately. They had me pick between the Cardinals and Steelers, and I really liked Kurt Warner and Larry Fitzgerald, so I went with them. And just since then, I've been a fan. So
randomly,
kind of a story.
Randomly, we were covering the draft in Nashville a couple of years ago, and Kurt. So we're heading from where we were staying at the hotel down to a restaurant bar the first night, and one of the first people that I see that I realize I'm at the NFL draft, Kurt Warner walks right by me and my wife and the people that I went with.
I tell you what, me and my dad, we actually went to the draft and we walked by him too. He was on the phone calling into like some radio show, and
did you get a
I
chance
walked right
to
by
talk to him at all?
I didn't know he was on the phone, and honestly, by the time he walked by, I didn't realize it was him, and I didn't want to interrupt what he was doing. So, but it was cool to see him for sure. So.
Yeah, he was on. So he's walking down the street, he's towering over everybody, and then Steve Smith is on one of those. I don't even know what you call them, but it's like a. The term's escaping me, but the little machine where you stand on it and it's got wheels and it just kind of goes. I forget what the hell this is.
Those are all around Nashville. Those are everywhere.
So he's just cruising. It was the first time I had seen it in Florida. I'm originally from Florida, but I lived in Middle Tennessee for quite a while, and I'm back in Florida. But I was like, what the hell is he? Is he from the future? And then I realized it was Steve Smith. I was like, oh, God. Better not say anything to that guy. He'll lose his mind and start swinging on you. That Nashville. So have you ever been to any other draft other than the Nashville draft?
No, just the one in Nashville. Actually, I'm kind of glad that it was the year we had the number 1 pick. That was a perfect timing. It lined up about right. So
that's true. So I've been to the ones in New York City, and Nashville put them to shame. I mean, it was unreal. What Nashville did, they took it to the next level. I don't know if Cleveland will necessarily make that same kind of a splash with COVID and whatnot, but I do believe that by the time, I believe next year, it's going to be in Las Vegas, where it was supposed to be last year, and I expect Las Vegas to crank it up a notch as well. All I know is that Nashville has raised the bar to hosting the draft to where it's no longer just having a stage and having people walk across it. I thought Chicago and Philadelphia did okay jobs in it, and then you see what Nashville did, and you're like, good guy. If they would have done
it was wild
after Nashville's, it would have been looked upon as a huge joke and an embarrassment. But Nashville has raised the bar. So to
speak. I tell you, that's the most crowded area I've ever been in. That draft was wild.
Yeah,
it was unreal.
Stumbling the whole weekend.
Yeah. That was crazy.
So do you have any other college teams or baseball or basketball or NHL, or are you just mainly national football?
Well, no, I'm a big college football fan as well. Since I was born in Florida, you'd imagine I'd be born into a family of Florida fans, and that's the case. So I rooted for Florida. You're a Florida State fan, I take it?
That's why you and Matt are friends. I knew there was a reason. Yes. You damn right. Go Noles. But at least you don't have some weird obscure team, that we aren't covering. You tell me you're an Iowa State Cyclone fan, and we're like, oh God.
You know all about Florida.
So is it pretty much football in your book, or do you dabble in any other sport?
I watch basketball here and there. I'm not a big fan. Nothing comes close to as interested as I am in football. That takes the cake on it. And I spend most of my time when I'm focused on sports, kind of dialed in on football and anything I need to be focused on.
Fair enough. So let's go ahead and jump into the way I want to do this is let's do the Arizona Cardinals first, because today we're going to do the entire NFC West, and I'm leaving this up to Bobby because he is an NFC West fan, and so I'm not going to contradict your picks. I'm just more interested in who you're going to pick. And where would you go with the Arizona Cardinals first pick?
What, 16? I think my best case scenario would be if Kyle Pitts were to fall, into the mid, I guess, top 10, around the 6 or 7 range. I think that our GM, Steve Keim, I think he needs to pursue a trade up in that situation. But that's only if he falls, which that's not very likely because he's quite the talent.
Don't you think, as I do, that he's probably going to be gone in Atlanta?
I think that Atlanta's a possibility, but I also read a report that they are interested in Trey Lance. So if Lance were to fall to 4 past the 49ers, that could be the pick there for him. And they could be building that.
Let's say the Falcons do go quarterback, and I wouldn't kill them for doing it because it is the most important in today's football. It's the most important position.
Absolutely.
You could have argued differently 10, 15, 20 years ago, but in your lifetime, because you look like a young little whippersnapper, they quit playing defense around 20 years ago. And so when they opened up all the rules to basically allow a receiver to go unmolested down the field, the quarterback is the most important player. So if Atlanta goes quarterback, look, I'm going to say if they are sold on whatever quarterback that they draft, I can't kill them for it, even though they have Matty Ice. It's a changing of the guard, so to speak.
I mean, Matt Ryan, he's getting older, so it might be time for them to look towards the future with a new coach and all that. So,
but let's say they do that, okay? I think Cincinnati grabs Pitts then.
I think they either
or Cincinnati goes and does what I think they should do and grab Sewell.
I agree with you on that. They need to protect Burrow at all costs right now. I think the two directions they will go, it's one of these two. I think they'll either get Jamar Chase out of LSU, try and, get those two back together, have that duo in the NFL, or they could be going with Sewell. I think that'd be the better option because even if Chase ends up being the better player, they still need to do anything they can to protect Burrow because he's their franchise guy and they can't let him get another big injury like that they had this year. So
it would be interesting if he falls past Cincinnati because Pitt, I think, would be a great weapon for the Dolphins. And I don't know if the Dolphins would trade down. Now, if the Dolphins don't draft him, that's when Arizona could get really aggressive.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if they can get into the 6th pick, but if Kyle Pitts is there, they might be able to slide into the 7th or 8th pick.
Well, I agree with you on the 6th pick because I don't think the Dolphins would have traded back up to 6 had they not had someone in mind. It wouldn't make sense for them to trade back, then back up if they didn't, or if they just to trade back again. It just doesn't make much sense. So I do think they'll stay put at 6. But if for some reason that the Lions are at 7 and he's there, you look at a team like the Lions who frankly don't have much at all, and they need to build as much as they can. Send them a lot of draft capital so they can build their future. So the Lions are benefiting from it, and then move up to 7, grab your guy, and give Kyler another weapon. I think that would be a phenomenal offseason. But the odds of Pitts falling to 7, I don't see it happening. But in the off chance that it does, that would be a perfect addition for our offense.
If Miami was somehow just obsessed with the wide receiver that they really like, let's say Tua gets in their ear and says, "I got to have Devonta Smith," right?
Yeah.
Then or even Waddle.
Maybe.
Are you concerned if a team drafts Smith high because of his size, or do you say that they don't play football anymore anyways, and it's just two-hand touch below the waist, and a little skinny guy can make it nowadays?
Well, I mean, one of the players I look at when I think of Devonta Smith is Robbie Anderson on the Panthers. He is skin and bone out there, and he went for 1,000 yards last year. I think there's absolutely the opportunity that he goes that high, and I wouldn't blame the Dolphins for picking. I know he's very skinny out there, and that can cause for concern. But truthfully, I think with how much separation he can create against good defensive backs, I think any pick as high as 6 is justified.
I'll tell you what, I was drinking the Kool-Aid right after the national title game. I was saying that Devonta Smith, I don't necessarily know number 1 because I know that to draft Smith, you have to have a quarterback in place. But I felt that he was the best wide receiver on the planet, and that he should be drafted high. Everyone gets a little removed from the hype of the college football season, and then they start breaking down. I think they get more enamored with the actual combine numbers. I know they didn't have true combines this year, but when I say combine numbers, I mean their height, their weight, their speed, et cetera, et cetera.
That and their pro day performance, yeah.
Right, which is essentially the combine this year because they didn't have an actual combine. You have to go off with the pro day. But when I say combine, that's what I mean. They always seem to go more towards the raw data on a piece of paper and not what they saw on film. And what I saw on film all year long was Devonta Smith was the most electric player on the field and was damn near impossible to guard one-on-one. Now, I know he's going to get in the NFL and the National Football League. Defensive backs are going to be much better. But Devonta Smith will get much better as well as time goes on.
Absolutely.
I would be hard-pressed drafting any receiver that's not named Kyle Pitts because Kyle Pitts is just a glorified tight end. I would have a hard time drafting any receiver that wasn't him.
Honestly, I can't really blame you for that. But I do think it's important to – I know Jamar Chase, he hasn't played in a year. That's a little bit of old news in a sense. But it's hard to ignore what he did in 2019 in that offense in LSU. He went for 2,000 receiving yards, which is just off the charts.
Right. And the thing is, I would have liked to have seen what Jamar Chase could have done when he didn't have Joe Burrows. Right.
Yeah, that's very true.
So that's and that is a concern to me. Someone doesn't play for an entire season because what did they do to keep themselves in shape? Not just physically, but mentally. And so I'm more, if I'm taking a number 6 pick overall, number 7, wherever in the top 10, and I got to make sure that you're not going to get me fired. And if I draft a guy that ends up being a bust, you're going to get me fired as a general manager or director of personnel. So that's Jamar Chase might end up being the best player in the draft, but I personally would not draft him because he didn't play last year, and I get it. He opted out because he was drinking the Kool-Aid of the the COVID scare. I get that. That's not his fault. Whatever. But I'm going to take the guy who you had to get. They had to physically restrain him to get him off the damn field, even after the game was a blowout against Ohio State, and he was injured. They're like, no, if we've got to, we're going to beat you. You've got to stay. You can't. You got to quit playing. I want that kind of a lion on my side.
I think Devonta Smith, just because of how good Chase was, I guess 2 years ago now, I have to say Chase is wide receiver 1 on my board. But Smith is not too far behind him. Smith is, you can criticize him for his size all you want, but truthfully, it's hard to look past what he did last year against high level talent as well. We're not going to ignore that he went against an all SEC schedule. That's very impressive.
I think he's going to fall, and people better hope to hell he doesn't fall to number 10, because Dallas, you give Dak Prescott, woo!
I think with Dallas, though, they might just, I don't know if they're able to draft the offense. They might, as tempting as it might be,
but
I think they go with Surtain.
I'm looking at where he could be dangerous. Yeah. He could end up at Carolina at number 8.
That's possible.
Anyways, moving on from that, Arizona with the second round pick, where do you have them going?
Well, this is where it gets kind of tricky, because in this area, this is where, first round talents on some player or on some teams' boards start to fall. So it's all up to, I guess, the Cardinals and what they see is a biggest need that we don't go with in the first round. But I think there's going to be a good running back on the board. I think if Najee, Etienne, or what's his name, Javonte Williams from Carolina, if they were to fall to 49, that would be a solid pick. I would have no complaints about that. Elijah Moore, if he falls to 49, that would be an outstanding pick. I think he's incredible. And I think this receiver class is loaded. I think any receiver you go with in the second round, you can't really go wrong with. So that'd be good. And then one last guy, I've had him in mind. His name is Peyton Turner. He's an edge rusher from Houston. He's 6'6", I believe, and can't remember his weight, but I know he's 6'6". He's a monster of a human being. And he looks great on tape, and he's extremely athletic. He's got all the makings to be a star, and he's kind of slept on. He's projected as like a mid to late second round pick. I would be ecstatic if we picked him at 49. That's one of the guys I like.
Okay. I would be shocked if they go running back, because with them signing James Conner, I would think that probably fills that need. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they draft him later in the draft, but
that's true. Yeah.
I think they have too many, and plus, for whatever reason, the running back has been devalued in recent drafts.
I think it's mostly. Go ahead.
No. What I was going to say is, I always feel like there's at least one running back in every draft that I'm like, that dude's worth it. Okay. Derrick Henry fell to the second round. What the hell was the NFL thinking, right? You give me, and I feel the same way about Harris from Alabama, because that guy's an absolute monster.
He is incredible. So, and I don't know how I feel about this necessarily, but Peter Schrager on NFL Network was going on saying, Najee Harris, he might go as high as 16 to the Cardinals, and I think it'd be a good addition. Would he be worth that high of a pick? That's up for debate.
Draft a running back, though,
not at 16.
When you that high, when you already have Drake and Connor, that's
Drake signed with the Raiders.
Not Drake.
Edmonds.
Sorry, Edmonds.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And he's a good rotational running back. Him and Connor will be a good little committee. So I don't think the need for running back is terribly pressing as it was before we signed Connor. But if you have a chance to add a talent like Najee or something in the second round, I think, and Connor's only on I believe it's a 1-year deal. So with how short his deal is, you bring in Najee, wait him for a year, get him some reps, let him develop mostly though. And then next year, let him run free.
I mean, look, it's not a terrible idea. I would just be shocked, because when you have Edmonds, the pass catcher, and Connor, the bell cow, it's not that you wouldn't draft a running back. It's, would you draft a running back that high?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think Arizona's more likely to go after possibly a receiver, but from a realistic standpoint, they need interior offensive line, and they've got to replace some bodies in the defensive backfield. And
that is very true. No, we do have Robert Alford coming back. He's been injured the past 2 years. He hasn't played a snap for us, which is unfortunate, but if he can come back and play anything like he did in Atlanta, he'll serve as a solid second corner. We signed Malcolm Butler from the Titans. I think that's a solid signing to replace Patrick Peterson. Gives us a guy. Well, at least it gives us a guy who can tackle back there. At least I'll say that. And then I don't know. Our secondary, it's not in the best shape, but I truthfully don't know how I feel about this cornerback class. I think the top two guys, Surtain and J.C. Horn, I think they're great. Will they fall to 16? That's probably not going to happen. So that's where I think we need to look at maybe trying to sign another guy in free agency.
Kingsbury, it's hard to predict what that knucklehead's going to do, but usually you draft against your division. And if you are the Arizona Cardinals, I think you got to have a defensive back.
Yeah.
You've got to get them in the first couple of picks because you're going to be in a division that now has Matt Stafford in Los Angeles, Russell Wilson in Seattle, and possibly, most likely, a very high prospect at quarterback at San Francisco. So you're going to have an entire division that is going to be led by the quarterback. You've got to have someone to stop them. So that's why I see Arizona going defensive backfield. But to your point, if someone incredible falls that far, I could see them go. I think they have a chance to add to their defensive backfield depth later in the draft.
Yeah.
Harris is a badass, though, and I don't understand why he's not being talked about more, because his athletic ability is off the charts. And sometimes you draft a Saquon Barkley high. Sometimes you draft, guys like Ezekiel Elliott. They're worth the high draft because they're just that dynamic of a player. We got to get speeding along here.
Yes, sir.
Arizona's third pick, fifth round. What position are you looking at there?
That gets interesting. I think there's some good talent. Like I said, I know I keep bringing up this receiver class, but it is loaded and it's deep with talent. And I think there's no doubt in my mind that we need to go receiver in the top 3 picks. I think there's a lot of guys that'll be on the board. I also think that, like you said, let's get into the later rounds where some running backs start to fall. Some guys who can come in and, develop into starting running backs one day. That wouldn't be bad. And I think there's a guy from Minnesota. His name is Benjamin St. Juste. He's a corner. I think he'd be good depth for now. I think he could develop a little bit more. But he's got the perfect frame for an NFL corner. And he's on film. He looks pretty solid. So I don't know. We could go corner, receiver, or running back there. Either one of those 3, honestly, I'd be happy with. And truthfully, you never know who falls that late. I mean, last year we saw Josh Jones fall to our 3rd round pick, and he was a projected 1st round pick. So you never know who falls late. I'd say at that point, go best player available as long as it's at a position of need.
Let me ask you this. San Francisco, what quarterback do you think they're going with?
I think they're going with Mac Jones. Do I think it's the right pick? Not necessarily. I know. I think I'm 100% on the Trey Lance hype train. I like him a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a mobile quarterback. He's got a good arm. He's got a perfect skill set that translates to the league. You've seen quarterbacks like Mahomes and Kyler Murray, for example. He's in that class of type of quarterbacks.
It doesn't concern you that he didn't play this past season except for one, pickup game, whatever the hell they did there, and he's only played one college football season.
Yes, that is kind of a concern, and that's why I think that's why I think him going to a team like the Falcons would be perfect, because that'd give him 1 to 2 years to sit back and develop into a great quarterback. I mean, you saw with Mahomes and Alex Smith. Mahomes was pretty raw coming out of college at Texas Tech, and he sat behind Alex Smith for a year and then came in and was the league MVP. So I
if
think
I'm the
I like.
49ers and I just traded up
Mhm.
to get to the number 3 pick, I'm drafting a guy that's going to play this year. And that's why I think it's either going to be Jones or Fields. Nothing against Trey Lance. I think his ceiling could be up there with a Patrick Mahomes type. Okay. But I also feel like he's got to sit. And when you pick, everyone killed people for overlooking Mahomes, but they forget Mahomes didn't start his first year going in. Okay. And they also forget they had Andy Reid, and Andy Reid can teach me how to play quarterback. Okay. Andy Reid's phenomenal. If you have a number 3 pick overall, you better be damn sure, especially when you trade away that draft capital, that is the pick. Because if
I agree,
so I don't hate the Trey Lance. What concerns me is his lack of playing time.
Development.
And even when he did play, it's not he played at the highest level. Right.
That is true.
So like it was different when Joe Burrows realistically for all intents and purposes had one season, but it was at LSU. One good season, not one season, one good season, but it was at LSU and he won the national championship. It concerns me when a guy's at North Dakota State, and I mean, is he going to be the next Carson Wentz? I don't know.
I'm not sure. Only time will tell.
Before we have to jam out of here, Rams and Seahawks, do you see them making any big move?
I don't think they'll do too much moving up. I might be mistaken, but I believe they'll sit put in the second round. They're actually picking back-to-back in the late second round. I think they both go O-line. I think they need to protect Russell Wilson as much as they can. I mean, you saw that whole trade fiasco go down this offseason where Russell Wilson clearly expressed his discontent with the offensive line. So I think they need to work on building that and get him a good offensive line. I know they signed Gabe Jackson over the offseason, which is a good addition, but I think they still need to do more, get him a good tackle or something like that. And then the Rams, I think they're going to go in the same direction as well. With Stafford's injury history and stuff and what they gave up for him, I don't think it would be smart to, risk having him get injured back there. I think they need to give him as much protection as possible. So that's the direction I see them going.
All right, it's time to do turn back time, and then we'll come back to you for the walk-offs. Here we go.
Awesome.
All right, on this date in 1996, Mr. Barry Bonds joins his father and godfather, becoming only the 4th major leaguer to hit 300 home runs and swipe 300 bases. As he homers for the Giants in a 6-3 victory over the Marlins, Bobby Bonds, Willie Mays, and the Hawk, the great Andre Dawson, are the only others in the 300 club. And on this date, 1983, Nolan Ryan becomes the strikeout king, passing Walter Johnson with 3,509 strikeouts. Nolan Ryan would go on to pass 5,000 strikeouts for his career. I don't know if that will ever be touched. And birthdays. It's your birthday. Whoops. Here we go. It's your birthday today. All right. Happy birthday, man. Happy 69th birthday to George Gervin. For people who aren't familiar with him, especially young whippersnappers like you, Bobby, George Gervin is one of the greatest basketball players to ever walk the earth, nicknamed the Iceman. George Gervin played college at Eastern Michigan, but was more known for his NBA career, obviously. He did start off in the ABA with the San Antonio Spurs, went over to the Bulls towards the end of his career. 9-time All-Star, 5-time NBA first team, and 2-time All-NBA second team. He was the scoring champion from 78, 79, and 1980, as well as 82. So happy birthday to Mr. George Gervin, the Iceman, or as a lot of people call him, Swerving Gervin. The guy was an elite player. If you don't know who he is, go back on YouTube and watch his videos. What is your walk-off for the day, sir? If you haven't done this before, it pretty much just means we always do a walk-off at the end of the show, and basically what are you watching? What are you doing? That kind of thing. What is your walk-off for the day?
All right, well, I'll be tuned into the draft on the 29th. I think everybody listening should too. You'll see a lot of young talent go, and I think this class is loaded with talent more than in a lot of years. And I'm looking forward to it. That's all I got for you.
Are you watching it at home, or is it going to be a watching party, or are you going out?
Yeah, I'm watching it at home, and I'm going to be watching it on stream with some Cardinals fans that I talked to. So
cool.
That's the plan for right now.
Well, that'll be cool. I'm going to a local sports bar to meet up with a buddy of mine who's a big Jaguar fan. He's excited. I'm like, well, I mean, I think we know who they're drafting.
Pretty obvious now, yeah.
Yeah, the Titans won't draft till much later in the night. I'm not sure if I'll still be up there at that point. But my walk-off for today would be the Braves and Cubs, 7:20 Eastern, ESPN Plus. You can catch it there. You can also watch it on your local networks. Ian Anderson versus Trevor Williams. And if you're looking for an off-the-beat game that you're kind of like, okay, I'd like to see something different, something that's, out of my comfort zone, so to speak. I would say that if you get a chance and you're staying up later on tonight and you're going to stay up and watch the whole damn thing, I would go with Zach Eflin going up against the Cardinals at a 8 Eastern. Carlos Martinez. He has got to get it together, y'all. He's got a 6 ERA. They put him back in the starting rotation. If Carlos Martinez does not figure this out, this might be it for him. He might get DFA'd or at least pushed to the bullpen. And this is a guy who 4 or 5 years ago was one of the best starters in baseball. He had some injuries. They pushed him to the bullpen. They talked about how great he was doing in the spring, and he has played like crap. This isn't one of these things where you're like, oh, he's 0-4, but he's actually pitched really well. He's been terrible. Cardinal Nation is about fed up with it. All right, brother. Well, we will see you next time. Great job. And
sounds good.
Good luck to your Cardinals. I'm hoping that the Titans
thank you.
Draft something smart and not go off the wire. I do like the way that the Titans have been drafting since,
yeah, they've done good in recent years, especially with the AJ Brown pick. That was a phenomenal pick.
We didn't get a chance to talk about. We'll probably talk about tomorrow. But the rumor that Julio Jones could be being traded to the Titans in June.
That's big.
Whew, is that big? The only thing that concerns me, it sounds like the Julio Jones is a pain in the ass and a mental patient, and I don't know if you want that in the locker room. But if that's not true, that's not true, and they do their due diligence. Man, would that be scary? AJ Brown, Julio, and the beast in the backfield. Holy crap.
That would be an incredible trio. All right, man. Well, you have a great day, and thank you for having me on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on these CBS Sports affiliates and catching the show on YouTube Live. We're here weekdays, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Find Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live today. Please subscribe and share and take us everywhere you go. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for Southern sports talk, live from the First Coast.